So that's sort of like the MC hype man whole shabab. Starting out, I obviously did a little bit of music. I picked up guitar in high school, and I would dance like coming, ever since I was little. I did a little bit of background dancing for Raga.
Yeah. Look, all of my friends going crazy. I gotta bring on my that's something I can phase me. Too dope like I'm back in the 80s. Call me and I'm gon' slide. Up with me for a hell of a ride. If you need a couple friends, man, doing it right. Hit up my line, we gon' turn up the night. I got a lot of wins on my dinner.
Okay, what's up, fam? Welcome back to another episode of the Healthy Indian Podcast, where we explore stories that fuel your mind, body, and hustle. Today's guest is someone that I've had the privilege of knowing since high school, a man who turns rooms into stages and conversations into movements. He's an MC, artist, storyteller, straight up energy plug, Sorab Kochar. Thanks for coming on the show, bro.
Hey, appreciate you for having me. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know. Too many people shooting podcasts these days,
It's way too many. I just kind of wish I was a entertainer like you sometimes, but I wish I had that talent.
Pros and cons.
Pros and cons. I mean, like anything else in life, right? So I guess let's talk about your company, Kosimo, and then your second company. I forgot how do you say that again?
Sharot.
Okay, I was gonna say share.
Yes.
I know it was like the little thing at the end.
Close.
Sick
Sharot.
name, by the way. Sick name.
Yeah, sure. I guess, I can talk about the companies. I think maybe it would be good to give you a little bit of just background on how I sort of like came to the brands. Yeah, so pretty much I've always sort of been performing, had a general knack for being a frontman. So that's sort of like the MC hype man whole shabab. Starting out, I obviously did a little bit of music. I picked up guitar in high school, and I would dance like coming, ever since I was little. I did a little bit of background dancing for Raga when I was in middle school. I did like Aria Dance Academy. And then into college, I performed at the Asian student show, which, like Clifton got put on the map for that whole thing.
That was probably one of the best ones we've had in Clifton. Like I think after you it kind of died. Like it was not bad, but it wasn't like just the different personalities and stuff. It wasn't like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like word spread like pretty much like wildfire. Like the Clifton student center show or like our Asian shows were they were actually so popular. Like people would come from neighboring cities like Parsippany and Passaic and such and come to our shows. So
I remember that too. I remember that too because my cousin came. He's like, "Yo, you know that kid Sorab? He's so good." I was like, "Yeah, I go to high school."
Yeah, it's so weird just choreographing those dances and such, and yeah, I don't know, like it was cool. Definitely was really cool and like a really good experience to like kind of open me up. And then I ended up becoming president senior year, and that was really the start of everything. I got into college, so I went to Rutgers in Central Jersey, so like New Brunswick area, and I got a work study job where I was working in AV. So I was essentially working in the back room, taking care of like all the sound, the lighting, the production. I was doing a bit of talking on the mic, and then additionally like setting up the chairs, staging, things like that for any of like the student organization run shows. Fraternities would come, they do little plays, musical things. It was pretty cool. Like I like how artsy Rutgers was, very much so. Like that campus was like Livingston, which technically I think starting out was like the business campus, but then a lot of like the Greek orgs would congregate there as well on occasion. So then coming out of that into junior year, I joined a fraternity where even that was very artistically forward. There was a lot of performers in that org, not only like singers, but like other musicians. And then my friend group ended up having like a knack for DJing, and that led me into deciding that, hey, I want to manage these guys and help them push their careers forward with this whole artistry thing. And this is like talking now like 10 plus years into the past, where like maybe it wasn't so saturated like it is today. Like there's so many DJs everywhere, and yeah, everybody wants to be a DJ.
I saw a 19-year-old girl the other day that was a DJ, and she was she's still going to college, but she's blowing up. So.
Yeah. I mean, with social media and everything, like it's never been easier. And honestly, like DJ equipment even is getting cheaper. So there used to be like a barrier of entry because everything was so expensive. But yeah, so like we were doing it really when it was uncool. Ultimately, like
Even now, like any of the the technology that's moving so fast, like, and even an iPhone. I remember we didn't have an iPhone. We had like I had a Razor Motorola or a Sidekick or a BlackBerry or CrackBerry, as they say. But now, like, look at this. Like, we're able to shoot like a whole video, and it's crazy, man. Like, even like the way sound and everything has like gone up. It's amazing.
one of the sickest things or trends that I see on Instagram, like the reels, is where like like some 20-year-old will be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go pursue like this thing, and I'm gonna make a ton of mistakes on the way, and I'm gonna take you guys along for the ride." And that has just been blowing up. Like, there's this one guy who's in like Arkansas, like making like an Airbnb like whole like community, right? He's like building like tiny homes and such on a property, and he's like 20 years old. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I got like 30 G's, and we're gonna figure this out." It's the sickest thing. And then there's another DJ. His name's Sangarang. He'll post things like, "Hey, like this is how much I made this month. Like I quit my job last year, and I'm trying to just like really make this DJ thing like my full time, and like drop music, and these are all the things I'm doing, and this is my mistakes, and this month it was good, this month it was bad." Like the just absolute transparency of it is pretty sick. I think that's like a new found thing. But sorry, just coming back. I know that was a
No,
tangent,
no, no.
but
It's cool. I love stuff like this because I think it's like your mind kind of
mhm.
wandering places, but you get to also understand, like, I think we were texting about this, right? Like having fun and doing things that are authentically you. And I think a lot of kids are like now, like, dropping their jobs, their 9 to 5s to pursue something that they actually care about, right? And I think when you do that, you actually excel at it, even though, like, this guy has to build like 20 Airbnbs. I'm sure it's going to take a while, but if it comes to life, like, well, now it's his project, right? It's his baby. So it's going to be sick, dude. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's really. I think it's like the landscape, like that we're in right now. Everything is so
Yeah.
expensive, and then people are realizing like corporate America is not going to save you. The
No.
companies don't really care about you. You can get dropped at any time. You're just a number. So if you don't have your own residual way of making income, you really don't have job security, whether you're in a corporate job or you're not in a corporate job. So like you might as well shoot for the stars and see how far it'll take you. And then at least you have like your own repertoire to sit on. Like the way that I look at it is like I'm building social currency every day, right? So that social currency right now it's MCing, but tomorrow it could be, I don't know, maybe I'll open a shoe line, or maybe I'll sell t-shirts. It could be anything. And I think that's like a good way that a lot of people think about like personal branding these days, and I think it's pretty sick. I mean, even with like the way you're running this podcast.
Right, right. Because I think, like, even people, as we all grow and age and stuff, I can use it for my business. I can use it for, networking. I can use it for even venture capitalism, right? Like when it comes to doing startups. So there's a lot, like you said, with the power of networking and social media that can be used to actually make money. And I think that kind of is like up and coming with all this younger people who are like 20, 25, because they're seeing like, okay, like I have a 9 to 5, but they're also not like us, who I guess we're first generation Americans. They're like more like the second or just younger kids. Like they're like taking advantage of it, right? Like they're not
Mhm.
only staying limited, but the 9 to 5, JP Morgan job or Wells Fargo job, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's like a really cool time. And I think what you're doing also is pretty sick, where you're also kind of looking to your companies and, diving deeper into them rather than kind of just, you're trying to maximize them and optimize them, right? With all the artists and the people that are coming. So how's that going, by the way? Now, like how's the companies doing currently? So
Yeah,
people
so
understand that, you know?
it's definitely changed drastically since, those college days, right? So like initially I started out with the management aspect, right? So I was like, let me manage my friends. Started out with like 5 guys, got into like 20 with Cosimo. It was really just like any version of management. You take like an essentially like a cut or like a percentage of the overall booking price. Like, musicians have managers, artists have managers, DJs have managers. So same sort of spiel with Cosimo. And then I did production, and that culminated into like that large scale New Year's Eve event that I ran at Rooftop Exchange Place. It was sold out, 3 stages, 12 artists, balloon drop, sparklers, the whole 9 yards, right? But then 2020 came, the whole spiel happened, right? So that was the before time. And then I was like, look, I'm getting a little older. Maybe I want to pivot this whole thing. And really that's where I put my foot down on the private event aspect of things. I knew that I always had the knack for performing. So continuing to do this, but now doing it at weddings, I thought it was just like a natural progression for me. And then I really started thinking about how fruitful it was. Like, it really makes me feel good to be part of like someone's most important day and really like putting on an absolute show, and where it's like all their guests are talking about it, they remember it. And I've seen how some other weddings have been, like I've been a guest and such, and like we just do it on a different level. Like the caliber of entertainment is just like here, right? So these days the way that things have changed is like I've had my own company, right? So Rose is my second brand, that I started in 2019. I didn't know all that was going to happen, so we actually had like a slow burn in terms of like our startup there. But
Sure. Which is
we have the
normal, right?
production aspect,
Yeah.
yeah, and then we
Which is
have
normal
like,
for like a startup. So
yeah, it's normal, but obviously, like, we had like 2 years of downturn where weren't allowed to have so much social interaction, right?
yeah, that's true. Like the limitations with COVID and stuff too. So I get
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And it was good. It's really tough, especially in like the tri-state area, to compete in this marketplace. It's so saturated, but it's crazy how much business there is in celebration. Like everyone has something to celebrate, and it's a constant. Because I'm like, all right, like I need a little break. I'm gonna shut this down for a hot second, and then boom, just jump right back into it like nothing's changed, because these parties just don't go away, right? And the scale for these weddings is always getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Obviously, there's a little bit, I think in the current day, there's a little bit of downturn in like the overall budgets that people are expending, because everything has gone so expensive, right?
It's almost like an arm and a leg nowadays, just to buy something.
Yeah, absolutely. And even for us, just like as our expenses, running the company is expensive. So that obviously goes into, unfortunately, we have to charge our clients a little bit more, because labor costs more, gas costs more, the maintenance on our equipment costs more. The equipment in general is so expensive, especially like having massive speakers, the storage space, the vans, the trucks, all that kind of stuff. But these days I am really happy with our progress. Like, I'm getting not only booked through my own organization, I have a lot of third party partners who also book me when they need me, just to go MC these weddings that are really large scale and luxurious, doing destinations, also getting contacted directly through social media to go to people's events. So I think come a long way. Feel really blessed. And yeah, things have been working out these days.
And if you were to kind of tell someone, like, maybe like some of the experiences you've had, like I guess when it comes to some of these events, right? Because I feel like you're a pretty experienced MC, right? So I think it's good to know kind of like your portfolio, right? Like a few words in the elevator pitch. I would say, like, you could talk about like the events you did, because I feel like you have international experience, you have domestic experience, right? But I just want you to like emphasize on that, because you probably have like a lot of exposure to that, right?
Yeah. So my whole thing is, 500 plus events at this point, maybe even 1,000, amazing brides and grooms that I've worked with locally as well as internationally. So I've gone to Greece, to Spain, to India. I've performed, Mexico is also like a common frontier. I've performed in like football field type stadiums in terms of the size of the events, as well as like as small as like a little party, like 30, 40 guests, something really intimate. So the scale and range is all there. And a lot of like my forte leans into, obviously I can do South Asian events. I can do traditional or mainstream weddings, which is, any culture. And then I lean into a lot of cultural weddings. So like being able to relate with two different clients that are from two different backgrounds, and then bringing them and also their families together on their special day and being that liaison. I think that's like an important skill that not necessarily every MC can bring to the table.
Actually, it got me thinking too. Like, it's actually something that we don't actually even think about until I sit down here and talk to you about it, right? Because eventually, in the next few years, obviously, like my friends and a lot of people I know are planning on getting married as well. And I think it's kind of like important, right? Because they're going to look back on that day. Probably go see a video montage and you're going to pop up there.
Hmm.
And, they're going to remember you either if it's like, and I'm sure it's going to be a good memory, but they're going to remember you and you're going to kind of make their day special, right? So it's always a good way for you to kind of them to remember you in a way where you if you made it that special, you definitely deserve that credit, right? And I think whoever it is, right, like I would, if I was looking back at a video and that guy made my like marriage special, I'm like, damn, that guy knows what he's doing, and
Hmm.
he's killing it, right? Especially with
Yeah.
MC.
I would say like, there's a lot of MCs in the industry, there's a lot of DJs in the industry, but I think ultimately it's always a vibe check. Like, who do you want to be that guy on your big day? And who's going to take care of you? Like, who's going to care about you? Are they looking at you like a cookie cutter, or are they actually personally invested in your special day? Like, do they really genuinely care? So I think that's always like a little bit of the game changer. And like, whether I know a client personally or not, I will always care and go above and beyond. I'm thinking about a million things for you that you're not even going to, it's not even going to hit the realm of your thought process on that day, cuz like things are moving so fast. You're worried about just like oh, I got to walk in at this time. I got to do this and that. That's why I'm there to really direct you and make sure that, we're not forgetting anything according to the plan that we've put in place.
Like, what's your advice to couples that I guess like have a set budget and obviously like they're looking at it from like because they have so many other expenses for a wedding, right? Which is understandable.
Yeah.
And they have you and they have somebody else, but they just for some reason you're just a little bit more, or the other
Mhm.
person a little bit more. How would you tell them? And is your moment to kind of convey the details? Like, how would you tell them like how do you choose and not make it about like such a monetary thing, right? Because like you said, they're gonna miss out on someone that really cares and someone that may not care as much, right?
Mhm.
And I just want to be careful because it's not about money, but it's mainly about choosing what's best for their big day, right? So how would one determine that? Just be honest, like, yo, I can't afford this, it's too much, or like what do they say,
Yeah, so it is a little tough because you would have to personally experience a wedding or a performance in order to directly know what your artist is like, right? So if you've seen somebody perform and you're like, yo, I really like this guy, and they performed at maybe like a relative or someone else's event, and they've given you that word of mouth, like that referral, being like, hey, this guy's like the real deal, you should book them, then you should genuinely take that seriously, right? Obviously. But second of all, I think like the social media presence and just like the way that I'm conveying my personality these days, like not only wedding event related, but in other aspects, is really showcasing my personality. And I think ultimately it's a vibe check, right? So you're going to talk to somebody on the phone, talk to them over Zoom or Google Meet. And do you like them? Like, are you guys having good rapport? What's the back and forth like? How invested are they with your planning process? Are they going to handhold you through this? Or are they going to just take your money on day one and then talk to you the week of the wedding? So there's two different roads, and ultimately it's for you to decide whether money is more important for you or is booking the right caliber of talent important for you, because there's plenty of DJs who can do the same thing. It's ultimately who do you want on your special day. So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It's really like a handshake or a nice melding of two worlds.
I completely agree, and I think the biggest challenge for couples, especially because if they're getting married in like 6 months, it's not enough time because they have to plan so much out. So I'm
Hmm.
just speaking on their behalf. Like, if they need to pick someone that in a good crunch time, like why would they pick you or pick someone that is just like you, that is really attention to detail, is going to go out of their way and care. And it's like you said, right? It's rapport, and it's kind of like that back and forth exchange, and they see your presence on social media and stuff.
I find
Yeah,
I find that the right clients find their way to me. Like
yeah,
the vibe is always correct. It is the right people. It is like the correct, mishmash between myself, the DJ, and the clientele. So inadvertently, I am maybe not the MC for everybody, but I
of course.
am the MC for the specific people who want me to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, that's it's always the name of the game, right? I feel like you can't appease everybody in this space, and especially the second question I had for you was why is the market so saturated with DJs? It's just something personally I genuinely want to know because you know this probably more than me. And obviously, when we were growing up, we were trying to always find DJs and people, right? But now we can't find like now it's too much, right? So it's like, why did it become like this, Sorab? Like in your opinion?
So I think everybody thinks that they can be a DJ, right? So You can shoot a really slick after event reel, put some music on it, put it on social media, and it can blow up because it looks visually appealing. And you may not even have the caliber of talent that that video is showcasing. I've seen numerous people because I also freelance, right? So I work with a ton of DJs in the marketplace. I know exactly where everyone sits. I have an extremely good ear for music. That's why I'm able to MC the way that I do because I know when a song's going to go up, I know when it's going to go down, I know what the wavelengths are sort of looking like. I think a lot of people don't understand the nuance required for performing at weddings. It has to be extremely clean, right? So, like, not only about the music being clean, but also just the way that things are faded up, faded down. Are you listening for the levels while somebody's speaking? Are you playing solid fillers as folks are transitioning? Like, what does that all sound like? I think obviously it's great money, right? So you can make as much as your full time in 1 week that you can make in a month, for example, potentially, depending on the caliber of artistry that you have
I
these days.
didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. That's a
yeah,
huge market. I didn't know it can go
yes.
to that level.
So starting out with like the smaller events, but then leaning into more of like the wedding marketplace, jumping from there to there is not what everyone needs to be doing. But I see a lot of DJs who want to get the receptions, right? Because, or they want to get the weddings. But honestly, like, bro, you're not ready. Gal, you're not ready. Like, you need to have a specific amount of years of practice under your belt before you can really like subject yourself to being at that level of stress, at that caliber of like, oh, I'm putting on for somebody's most important day, right?
Yeah, it's a big deal.
But I will say, alternatively, there's a lot of people who don't necessarily care as much. So some people, money is
Exactly.
the differentiating
The
factor.
motivator or like the deciding factor. Yeah.
And that's totally up to you, you know? Like, do you just want like a background DJ or like a jukebox kind of vibe? Like, that's totally up to you. Or do you want somebody who's a real artist coming to the table with like some real stuff? Yeah, I think it has become cheaper. More people are able to jump in. Social media has pushed it forward. And, the recaps are they can be pretty fabricated. So all these aspects are just leading more and more folks to jump into the industry.
I guess like one thing I want to learn about your genuine thought is like, since you're an experienced MC, how do you still learn from the game when you see someone more experienced than you? Maybe just like someone that's like older, even, right? Like you could be like
Mhm.
7 years older, and he's been in the game just as like longer than you have. How do you kind of learn from these kinds of people? Because like for you, that's probably motivation, right? Like, oh shit, like I want to get to this guy's level, right? You have to have like somebody that's like a mentor in this kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah, it's tough as an MC because like you don't actually get to see a lot of other MCs work. I mostly work with DJs, right? So a lot of the way that I craft um my own way that I do things, my own skill set is from me learning from myself, me recording myself and watching me perform back. I lean into learning from radio and I lean into learning from social media a lot. Like people who are literally just talking. Talking is like our thing, right? So like I'm
Yeah.
learning from people who are great orators, folks that are interviewing other people, casts. That's really like my learning space. But even if I am at a wedding and I'm witnessing other MCs perform, most of the times I'm not learning much because
Yeah, yeah,
not to say,
yeah.
I don't see too many amazing MCs, I'll be honest. So that's why maybe I am booked so often because there is a gap for great talent in the industry.
Yeah, and like you've definitely, I feel like you have the edge where like you have the experience right under your belt, and like you said, a lot of people, even if they might be pretty good, it's like not their time yet to kind of host someone's big day, right? Because it is more than just money at that point. It's kind of like reputation you're putting on the line, and also you're kind of like a figurehead for the whole company. So I think you have to kind of like really like do your homework and attend so many events before you can attend that kind of event for someone.
I do want to mention that, like, I do think it's experience. I do think part of it is talent. Like, and talent doesn't always come
Oh yeah,
from, it doesn't always come from learning and from experience and skill. Some of it is an X factor that you're born with, and just not everybody has it. So you can't always curate the ability to be at that level. You kind of sometimes are born with it.
yeah. I mean, talent definitely does like give you an edge for sure, And you're saying like at the great level, right? Like if you have all the hard work and then the talent just pushes you to the next level, right? I feel like a good example of this would be like someone like a singer that I look up to sometimes is like Drake, right? Homie can play all the sad songs, all the good songs, and everyone loves him, and then somehow just has a diss track and then just is able to still move forward. As much as people have his opinion, Kendrick's better, Drake's better, I still think he's still doing the best numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think like that is like he also has talent. He has to have talent to
Of
get
course.
to the level. There's no way he can sing, rap, and do God knows what he's doing without talent.
I think in some aspects I can look at somebody and within the first 5 minutes of knowing them, I can tell them if they're going to make it or not. In some ways,
Yeah. No,
I'm sure you
definitely.
could get booked for certain events, but like, are you going to be one of the best in the industry? You know,
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
have that drive? Do you have that capacity? Do you have that X factor?
Do you have like the hunger to like succeed and not always look down on yourself and always complain? Because I think the biggest thing now is like people have a tendency to have a quick relief or quick reward, but they don't want to really work on their craft. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing, and I'm sure every career, even you as talented as you are, you still have burnout, right?
100%. And in this industry in specific, like burnout is a very, very common thing.
I was gonna say, since you have a lot of loud moments, do you have a lot of quiet moments, Sorab?
You
Because
know what's
like if
funny?
I listen to mad like music,
Yeah, you know what's funny is like after an event, like the next day, I'll be sad boy. Like I'll just be by myself. I'll be quiet. Like I right
Yeah.
at an event, and the next day you need to replenish yourself. Whether that's like with food or doing things that you enjoy. It's really important to make sure you don't burn out in that aspect. And it really stinks, especially if you're like single or you're not in a relationship. Or even if you are in a relationship, your partner has to be very understanding. Because this is a really draining industry. And I was actually even thinking about doing a post where I talk about mental health for hospitality professionals because a lot of people don't get it. It's late nights, you're not sleeping right, always needing to be happy, and you're always needing to be on top of your game, whether you're sick or whether you're or sad, or if like you're emotional or something's going on in your life. You have to always be putting on that show, and that really goes for any sort of artist. But yeah, burnout is something you have to take very close care of, and you got to keep an eye on that.
I think like to segue into that, like I feel like you dealt with burnout pretty well, and I don't know your full story yet, but the sabbatical stuff that you told me about. So
Hmm.
basically, Sorab texted me one day, some random, really nice sunny day, hopefully not too much heat, and he basically told me like how he went to like so many different countries and he did two sabbaticals, right? And I'm sure you had such a revolutionary change within you, and you got to experience something that a lot of people aren't going to experience, right?
Yeah, so the way it works here, at least in the tri-state, and being like an MC in Jersey and New York and Connecticut and Rhode Island and PA and
I
such,
stayed and all that.
tri-state, right? Is that it's seasonal. So it really starts around May and then it ends around like I would say late October into November. There's definitely still events happening, but like the majority or like the bulk of it is during the summertime. And I would love to see how this transitions as like we hit like more of like global warming and such, because I know they just announced that New York is now subtropical weather, which is insane. So, I mean, I'm here for it. I love warm weather. Like that's my thing.
Oh yeah, bring it.
Yeah, I would more so travel for my own mental health and just being like, hey, I need to get away for a bit. I don't like being in overcast weather or cloudy weather or cold weather. It gives me cabin fever. Like I take the opportunity to leave when I can during those winter months. So like after December, first week of January, like I'm out. And then I'll come back when the season starts again. So I can just be here, be present. And I feel really grateful to be able to do that with the opportunities that I have, like working remote and such. But that's really like the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, no, and the flexibility is amazing, right? Like not not a lot of people can say they can do something seasonally and they'll come back to it and then they'll still be there, right? I think that's like the cherry on top because you have like that flexibility, and if you don't want to do it one summer, fine, you can come back and do it. Right. So I think that's like the leverage you have that a lot of people don't get. Let's also talk a little bit about your Mohan matchmaking experience because you brought up dating earlier. So you want to tell them, or should I tell them of how we ended up meeting each other more in matchmaking back in the day? By the way, I have a girlfriend now, so just throwing it out there, like I'm taken. So do not hit me up.
Cool. Very nice. Very nice. No, you can go for it if you want to give the background.
Yeah. So one day, basically Anit Patel, the owner of Mohan Matchmaking, he was throwing his first basically matchmaking convention. I went there thinking I'm not gonna know anyone. I'm gonna see all these dudes hitting on girls, and then Sorab was there, and we're both talking to girls around us. And I see him, and he sees me, and we're like, oh, I see you, and he had his hair's growing out and everything, and I'm like, damn, like this is not the same exact Sorab I remember from high school, but it was a good time, right? I think in my opinion, I think from even the people I hear now, I think that mixer or matchmaking event was one of the best, even though it was like not fully planned to its best ability because it was the first one. I think I met some really, really cool people. I still talk to a lot of people that, especially the guys only, that went to that event because you still created bonds, right? It was almost like going to like a vacation, but like for adults, you know?
Yeah, my perception about it, and first of all, just for like the general public,
Yeah.
this is like not like a normal thing. Like most cultures don't have a matchmaking convention, right? Like just because we're South Asian, this is a thing. Like I tell my friends sometimes I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm going to like a dating convention this weekend. I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? We are as a culture so marriage crazy. We are marriage obsessed, which is not necessarily a bad thing. The whole thing about it is like the nuclear families that Indian people have, Pakistanis, Bengalis, the entire South Asian culture, Nepalis, all that kind of stuff, right? But one of the things that it leans into, and if you look up the statistic, it's that South Asian families are highly successful and more than 85 or 90% are nuclear families. That means there's a dad, there's a mom, there's children. So it's like in that traditional sort of structure, right? And when a couple does have children, having a mom and a dad is fairly important to that children's success and the likelihood of them being a successful individual. And I'm not saying that a single mother or single father cannot do that, but the difficulty definitely increases not being in that nuclear, having those two supporting role models kind of structure. That being said, this is why this convention and things like this, these dating opportunities are so heavy and there's so much pressure put on the South Asian community to find their partners, right? So, I mean, your boy went out and I was like trying to do it myself, right? Before,
Yo, I was trying to do it too, man. Nothing worked out, bro. Don't be
yeah,
sad.
like before
Chill.
my parents or family start putting pressure on me, like let me go out and like try and find somebody on my own, and it was cool. I mean, yeah, I do think it's that one in specific. Mohan matchmaking is a little bit of like the who's who of the South Asian community showing up. So for me, it was more like let me talk to people, let me exchange socials, let me build connections and such. And then if I do meet somebody and they want to hang out and have a date, I'm not going to push any, like, I'm not putting pressure on anything. But if something happens naturally, then it's totally fine with me. But yeah, I had a good time. I met a lot of cool people. I keep seeing these family karma people everywhere I go, like Brian Benny and such, and his family members. And I don't know, it's pretty cool to have these run-ins. So
I saw some of the actors there at like my business event, like for my job, and I saw them there at the gym working out there. We had like a little council. I saw them working there. So I was like, what the heck, family karma? So it's like, everyone's kind of intertwined in this, loop. And it's also because, they've also were single and now they found someone. So that's how we associate them. Right. And yeah, shout out Anip, by the way. I know if he listens to this, we give him credit for it because, it was still fun. I still had a good time. I think the biggest thing for me there was kind of meeting a couple girls, but I didn't know whose number was who. Everyone's last name was Patel. The first girl and the second girl, I couldn't tell a difference. And I'm not trying to sound like someone that's like a player or anything. It was genuinely other people had the same trials and tribulations. Like, yo, like I'm forgetting who I just met because it was that much of a, overstimulation, I guess, right?
yeah, it was like a
That,
dating marathon.
yeah, literally. It was like speed dating on crack. So, and
Yeah, it
remember,
was far too much. That's why the social medias definitely came in handy. I saw some people going around with like barcodes. They were like, "Hey, scan this, and you'll automatically follow me, and then I know like what your face looks like. I can maybe contact you the next day or such."
yo, that's crazy. Actually, I think I had somebody that came up to me did that once, but I was like, I didn't even think much of it. But now I'm like, wow, I could use this for my business actually.
I, I, but the thing if you look at it at the base layer, like speed dating is such a difficult way to meet somebody and be like, hey, do I want to pursue this or not? And I don't know why or for what reason. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I struggle with, okay, I'm good at speed dating. Like, I like it. Like, I'm an interviewer. Like, I'm good at interviewing. I'm a talker, I'll be talking. But I want to find and meet the girl who isn't necessarily in this space. You know what I mean? So I've kind of like, ever since that experience, I've kind of like shut it down for the most part. Like, I don't go to these dating things. Like, I'm kind of just navigating my life and my world and seeing who wants to reciprocate the energy that I put in a certain aspect and just let it flow naturally. Maybe that's a good strategy, maybe it's not, but so far it's been pretty okay. Because genuinely, I feel like when I see, it's not that there's a desperate energy in the air at these events, but it's so much pressure to put on. And like the main part about building a relationship is really like a bond that you curate over a period of time. You don't just like be like, oh, like I'm head over heels for this person in the 30 seconds I'm talking to them during speed dating because they're attractive and we talked about something that we aligned upon. Like, it's not like you're never gonna know, like, until you want to choose this one person over and over and over again. And that's the realness that a lot of people are incapable of doing. And that's where what the work and the effort is required. Like, is this person capable of texting me often? Is this person want to talk to me? Do they want to share like interesting things about their life without me asking? All that kind of stuff is what makes a relationship. Not like this, okay, we hit it off one time. That's what makes a fling.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily see like the whole like the point, or I understand meeting a lot of people, but like who's gonna hit you up afterwards and be like, let's hang out, let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, honestly, like after the first month, I didn't really, get like much response. Even like some of the people, like I still talk to the guys because actually one or two of actually another guy's in a relationship and the other guy's like still looking. But I mean, it's like between all of us, it's still like a joke because at the end of the day, we're like, okay, well at least still became friends. I can still text him if I'm ever in Virginia. I'll hit him up, and like I didn't know I was gonna meet other dudes from a different state at this mixer and share
Mm.
both all our pains. But I think like the biggest thing was just kind of like the comparisons. I mean, I literally had somebody come up to me. He's like, yo, like, how much do you make, like, of my speed dating? And I was like, I'm not comfortable answering that question next. Because, like, 30 seconds and you're already asking me very, very, like, even if I give you the answer, like, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, that's way too personal. That's a big red flag. That's like,
But again, I don't even blame them because I also think it's, like you said, desperation, right? Like, they're probably getting so much stress from their families that they probably felt in that moment they're like freaking out if like this doesn't work out that they have to ask that kind of question,
I
So
will
I
say
try to
that,
give them the benefit out here, but like,
yeah, of
yeah,
course. I
yeah,
will say that I do think it's a little ingrained in the South Asian community to find a guy who's like of some sort of professional doctor, lawyer, engineer, right? Like that's the whole thing that they always say.
yeah, or like 300, 200K, not including the wedding.
And I get it. Like that was very much a concept of, the past and the way that our parents were raised because, a woman was seeking security, in the 90s or whatever because they wanted to establish themselves in America or a new country. And they needed a man who was able to provide. And a lot of girls are still seeking that, and that's totally fine. Like, all on you. But a lot of women are also equally successful these days, right? Actually, if you look this up, women are overall on average making more money than men these days, right? So we're actually in a really interesting time and landscape for relationships because folks are not only getting married later, but they're also like women don't necessarily need men as much as they did in the past, right? So when a woman does decide to invest in a man, it's gotta be for reasons, mostly outside of the realm of money. Like, not saying like gold diggers don't exist. I'm sure they do, Miami and such, blah, blah, blah. But
Cal-
sorry, Miami, I love you. I feel like, especially in the South Asian community, like I did see a lot of girls gravitating towards the doctors and such, but I'll be honest, like a lot of the doctors are missing life experience and they're missing the ability to build serious conversation and attraction and a bond and such. So, you win some, you lose some. You gain certain aspects and you lose other aspects. Yeah, it's not cool that they asked you that question. about the money.
Yeah, I
But
mean, it was a little it was a little tough to answer too because I thought it was like kind of like a joke, but they wanted to know, and I can tell from their their face they were very serious. So I'm obviously not going to air them out, but it's one of those things where obviously I don't even kind of go with that. It's like you said, right? Like I think like finding a genuine connection with someone is just like creating that somehow, some way. Obviously, it's hard as shit, but once you have that genuine connection, things get easier, right? I found someone not at all related to Moen's matchmaking, but I think I reconnected with them years later, and now we're doing pretty well. Knock on wood, and stay like that. But I think like it's like things like that turn out to be long term, and things that are short term turn out to be these kinds of experiences because I think people they want the same end goal, but they're looking for two different things at that current moment. They're not looking for the same thing.
that's why I don't believe like these matchmaking conventions are like the right path, because it's essentially just like a dating app on steroids, like swiping in public. Like, oh, you don't make six figures? Next. You don't make six figures? Next. It's like, what about how you grew up? Like, what about your personality? Like, what about the things that you're interested in, your hobbies, your goals, your aspirations?
Like your
What
creative
about,
side's like kind of shunned out, right? And
yeah,
I agree with you. And like I also think like, and not to cut you off, but it relates is the fact that the word entrepreneur or you're self-employed, you have your own business has a negative connotation now because women or men think that it's like you're basically somebody at home that doesn't have a job, right? And that is not the case for everyone, right? It's a generalization like everything else, but I think it's more important about understanding like, okay, like if you have your own business, like because you could be that version or you could be the version that has 3 million, but then you were out judging that other person, right? So I think you have to look at it in a way where you have to really get to know the person at the end of the day and really understand if they're comfortable with you, they'll share their finances or even if you get to that level, but
of course.
regardless, I don't think you should judge someone based on how much they make. I think it's not a good way to look at things. And again, it's like you're trying to have like this Bollywood, fairy tale. And I think life is not like that. Life is full of hardships and success and does have fairy tales and stuff, but I think it's not, you can't have everything perfect. I think that's the end goal, right? Not to just to have a real, like, life with someone.
It's like, who is willing to go through the ups and downs with you, right? Like, who, like in thick and thin, like who is willing to be there by your side? Like, I think a lot of people are very quick to, cut somebody off or, see a certain flag and be like, hey, like, they're not the one. But ultimately, it's a journey, and two people have to be very willing to choose each other's over and over and over and over again, you know?
I also think I kind of feel bad for some of the guys that I'm friends with because some of them are doing great, but they have their startups and it's kind of like a long-term ROI. But right now they're not making much, right? And the thing is like one of my best friends, he told me like he's worried like if he could get a wife or not because of how much he makes right now, right? And he's completely okay with me saying this, but like, and he has his own startup and he makes decent money, but it's not like, 300K, 200K. I think it's like one of those things where like I told him, bro, like it shouldn't matter, right? At the end of the day, you're just trying to find someone like anyone else, and it's like you said, like you have to really just get to know them and really allow yourself to like the women or whoever you're trying to date. They have to allow to get to know you, right? They can't just kind of judge you based off of like a title or something. But it's really hard nowadays, bro. I don't know what to do. Like the dating scene is kind of it's getting worse.
Yeah, I agree with you. So the connotation with being an entrepreneur or being like a self-made startup kind of guy, it lacks security for women, right? Like, so they want something stable, they want stability. So like, even when I was, being a nomad and traveling a bunch, that is an aspect where I'm not able to give somebody consistency. So that's like a little red flaggy for certain girls. And then even like being in the entertainment landscape, that's also a little red flaggy for girls. But I will say that these red flaggy aspects only exist really in our own culture, with our own sort of people, because the mindset and thought process that has been passed on from like the parents' generation and such, right? Like when I date outside of my culture, girls look at it and are amazed. They're like, wow, you've done so much. You've become so successful in the field that you're in the realm that you're in. You're self-made. All these aspects are they're so great, like because you can really pivot into any sort of way and really dedicate yourself, right? But within our own culture, it's very much like, hey, you're not one of these three things. I don't know if I want to be with you. But It's funny, like girls who are doctors, I see a lot that are single. And it's because they're looking for an incredibly successful guy who's 6 foot, who is all these factors that bring down the percentage of men into like 0.01%, right? There's so few men that are going to be capable of checking all the boxes that you're looking for. So you went through school, you did all these years to become successful, to narrow your field or to expand your field, to be able to choose any guy or to choose one specific guy that maybe lives in Arkansas somewhere and is doing something amazing, you know? But like, then again, let's flip it around. Like, why would that guy choose you? Are you also super attractive? Are you also a caretaker? Do you want to be a mom? But like, if you're bringing that really, let's say, like not aggressive energy, but like more of like the masculine energy because you're a go getter, you're very career oriented, is that what that guy is going to look for? Like, that is that necessarily what that highly successful man who's always stressed and doesn't have time for you is going to be able to provide for? There's certain things that need to be thought about in our culture, and especially with as women become more successful, these are all just little nuances. And the dating culture in New York in general is just very like fickle. It's very like, hey, you're here today, you're gone tomorrow, grass is greener kind of thing, you know? I try and date outside of the state, or at least try and slow things down whenever I am going into something more serious.
I'll say something that you're doing that was something I did until I found the person I'm with now is like I did date out of state. I did everything under the sun. Like you said, went nomad. But I think it shouldn't matter to the other person because how is that affecting them? Right? Like you're not married to them, you're not tied to them. You should be able to do whatever the hell you want to find who you want that's gonna match your energy, right? What if you went on that nomad trip and you found a girl that is just like you going through the same things and just is looking for what you have, right? You don't know what you're gonna find other places. And honestly, like as we get older, you could keep saving your money all day, but it's like as you get like 65, you look old and you have grays and you probably have enough more than enough saved. You're probably gonna regret like not living those experiences. And that's why like when you told me all the places you went, I was like, shit, I gotta go to this place, that place. I gotta ask Sorab for recommendations. I didn't text you that yet, but I was actually thinking about that because I'm actually going to Banff, Canada. So like yeah, like this weekend and like hiking obviously, but after that I want to do more like traveling, right? Before we start becoming like 40, bro, you
Yeah,
get 40.
I have no regrets about the amount of places that I've gone to and the amount of time that I've traveled. I think that, yeah, it was like a moment in time in my life, the season of my life, and I was capable of doing it at that time. But like, as I look forward to settling down, building a family, and kind of laying down a little bit more roots, I wouldn't necessarily nomad for like 5 months at a time. Definitely,
Yeah, it's just like a
definitely
break, right? Yeah, it's like a
definitely
nice
still
break.
take like little vacations here and there, but in this season of my life, I'm in build mode, so I'm really all about laying down roots and foundation.
I mean, and I agree with you completely because I did the same thing. I actually took like a month off. I got laid off from my previous job. I got a severance package or whatever. And then afterwards, I was like, Mom, Dad, like, I'm not going to apply for a job. I'm going to go out and like live my life. I went backpacking to Yosemite, went to California, went to Fresno. I did like this whole like, Cali trip thing, went to Florida. So, I found a lot of things. And again, like I wanted to hit you up for traveling because I want to do backpacking in the country, like out of the country, but I'm a little afraid to do that.
No, come on. So the more you travel internationally, the more
Solo though, solo dolo. I could do it with like one other person, like you or like my friend, my best friend or whatever.
yeah.
But I'm saying with me solo, like I guess it can't like international mortifies me because I'm like, damn, like if something happens. But I've done it alone in Yosemite. I went 50-mile hike by myself, 56
Nice.
in 2 days. So like I've done that. I think out of the country, the fact that I can't read anything or like the money currency freaks me out a little.
I think the more you travel
Yeah,
internationally, the more confidence you'll gain, and
yeah,
you come to realize that every place is pretty much like here. There's obviously dangerous parts, there's safe parts. You could travel in New York City at like 4:30 in the morning and be pretty scared
yeah,
in certain areas, you know?
yeah.
So it's all the same, to be honest. Like, you just have to be cognizant while you're traveling, especially like when I was in Brazil. There's like petty theft that's common, but generally speaking, like if you can blend in and are culturally aware, like you'll be pretty okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll definitely. I'm gonna definitely try to leap of faith and try to go. Maybe if you say Brazil or something, just shoot some Rex my way. But did you book something? For the ones who are out there trying to travel on their own. What'd you go through? Did you go through like a tour or something or what?
No, so when I was staying in like Mexico City, for example, I just booked an Airbnb for 3 weeks and then I just stay there. I looked up like local gyms. I did Airbnb experiences. I was working during the day, and then in the evenings, I was really like checking out excursions and things in the area. When you do Airbnb experiences, you do get to meet like a lot of like some locals, but a lot of foreigners. But then you'll meet like locals in the process. Like we went mezcal tasting for one, and then I met some folks and stuff in the bar, and then like we ended up going out together one night. That's an example. I did like a luchador fight.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, like
Which
I
one
wasn't
with
fighting,
the
but
hat,
I went to
right?
go watch one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like the what was it? It was Jackie Chan Adventures?
Rey Mysterio from WWE.
Luchadora, yeah. That's
So
sick. That's
yeah, that
unique.
was sick. There's like a mountain range where they have all these like thermal pools in like an hour outside of Mexico City. Super sick. It was like a full day thing. Got picked up, got dropped off. Highly recommend Mexico City. Brazil, I actually had a friend who was staying there. She was actually teaching English to, Portuguese speakers. So she picked up Portuguese. So she was able to take us to a lot of the different parties, and what they call them blocos in Brazil during Carnival with like little block parties. And Brazil was a little bit more difficult to navigate in terms of the blocos. Like they were happening everywhere, so it was difficult to figure out like which ones to go to. So I was very lucky that I had her to kind of show us around. But yeah, I think traveling internationally, solo traveling, whether you're with friends or not, like it's extremely fruitful. And like I look back at all the memories and I'm like super grateful. I reached a point finally in my life where I'm like, oh, I don't need to go anywhere. Like I'm actually like so complacent with the amount of places that I've been. Like I have this little map here and I mark off like all the places that I've gone. And I'm quite good right now. Like I'm trying to just buckle down, MC, hit the corporate grind, stack cash, buy some real estate, like do all the things.
Yeah. There's like a wavelength, right? Like that's you had like your wavelength for that, and now there's another wavelength for this, and then we might go back to that later. No, that's awesome, man. And right now, I guess like what is like your biggest goal as of right now that you want your listeners to know? Because I know you're trying to have like a brand for yourself on social media.
Mhm.
So I guess like what is something like you want your listeners to kind of take away from this podcast?
Yeah, I would say like I'm trying to just usher in a realm of positivity and just trying to be like, hey, like you can do anything because a lot of what I feel from what people see that I do is that they automatically assume that I'm extremely extroverted, right? Because I'm out, I'm talking in front of people, I talk in front of the camera, but all this is like a learned practice that I've
Yeah,
put into place, right? Like I was really shy growing up. Like I wasn't, I didn't come out of my box or my shell until like high school. To be honest, right? Like I hit puberty pretty late. I was always very short. Like, I used to get bullied in elementary school and middle school. There was like some racism at that time. And it took a long time for me to be able to be confident in myself, my skills, who I am, and become the person I am today. So like I feel like I'm trying to give that sort of perception and understanding to everyone over time that no matter what it is, you have to put yourself in certain uncomfortable situations in order to grow out of things or grow into the person you want to be. So like what I do today is very much like a learned, practiced skill and talent that I've taught myself. And this is in this current season of my life that I'm doing this emceeing thing. And I definitely see myself doing it at least for the next 3 years. But I'm trying to put on the best events that I can, trying to shoot out the most amazing content that I can, trying to start the best businesses that I can, and in the process, just have fun and learn and grow. So that's sort of my thing. And if you want to follow along with the journey, you can follow me at SROC, which is Sirach Me, or my stage name
like
is MC
rock,
Sorab.
like Rock Nation, like ROC.
Yes. Well, no, not really. No Rock Nation. But in college, it was like Ciroc, whatever. I don't know. It's a stupid name, but nonetheless, I have to stick with it now.
Feel you. We all have our fair share of funny names. No,
Hmm.
but that's awesome, man. And like even last night, I was kind of researching like your page a little, and I saw like you're like a fun, approachable, friendly guy, right? Like you have your opinions and you like to have fun, but I also see like like you're genuine, right? Like the other day, I saw you were like all dressed up in your little vest, and you had like a little burn mark right here from the wedding, and there's these smoke bombs you were talking about in your reel from like weddings, and like the embers that release, and you got a little scarred here, right? But I think it's relatable. It's almost like a little vlog I look at, or I saw you the other day making like some protein pudding and like some eggs, and you're like, yo, these are some eggs, like just funny, right? So you have that, but then you also know when to like dial it into work mode. So it's like people get the real you, but then they also get the work you, right? And I think
Mhm.
that's really important to kind of distinguish. And I'd love to collab with you too, because I think I like to work with like-minded people like yourself, right? Like it took us 4 tries to do this. Like, I like the hustle, right? So, so
I think with anything, it's a balance. It's a balancing act. So like, obviously you have aspects of this, but I don't want emceeing to be my whole spiel, right? So like I'm trying to dabble in a bunch of different things, like we only have one life to live. Like why not learn as much as we can, be in every industry we want to be. I know some people are like, "Hey, you got to like niche yourself. You got to be the best in one thing." But I want to be the best in 10 things. And like, that's because my interests are very diverse, different things, and I'm going to explore those different things. And why not? If I'm able to dedicate myself and if I'm able to allocate the time, like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do music. I'm going to be an MC. I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to start a clothing line. I'm going to DJ. I'm going to do all the things I want to do. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to drop some fire content, have fun.
no, exactly. And like, you're living life to the fullest, right? You're just having fun with it, but you're kind of progressing in your goals that really make you your authentic self. So I think that's beautiful, bro. And I'm really happy for you. One thing I wanted to ask you was like, cause you have a big heart for music, is like, if you had to pick a rapper or a musician that you like, who would you pick, dead or alive? To me.
To me,
Yeah.
hmm.
Because you're like big into like guitaring and everything. So I was like, it could be Linkin Park. It could just be like Morgan Wallen. Like it could just be also a rapper. Who knows, right? It's just I wanted to ask you because you're also a bit. You have you have an eye for music. So and there's a lot of great musicians out there, right?
Yeah, I think Dead or Alive, it's really tough. One of my favorite artists or musicians is A.R. Rahman. I love, like, growing up, like, I would just, like, wear my Walkman and my headphones and listen to his compositions, like Doll and all the old school A.R. Rahman gems. Like he is my goat in terms of like musical composition. I can jam his stuff at any time and it like puts me at ease and the musicality is so intricate and I love hearing all the instruments bounce off each other's and that's like yeah, I was listening to that when I was like 7 or 8. Other than that, like a little bit more mainstream, the one of the biggest regrets that I have in my life is that I didn't get to watch Linkin Park perform. Like
Yeah, yeah.
if I got to meet Chester, before he passed, RIP, that is definitely a dream of mine. But otherwise, I will definitely take Mike Shinoda. Like, both are very, like, inspirational to me in my life.
I still remember the day he passed away, and I was at a bar, and I was talking to somebody at the bar, and Chester came on, and his voice was there, and I'm like, why is he playing? And then I found out actually he was playing because he passed. So that'd be a sick way to meet someone that's like an OG from our
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. So heartbreaking.
yeah, man. So you have anything else you want to share as far as like I guess like mental health and so I know we have a lot to still unpack, but I think it could be on episode 2 if you'd like.
Yeah, I would
Uh,
love that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, nothing crazy right now. We're actually in the heat of the season. So wedding season 2025 is ongoing. It's only June now. We just hit like a crazy heat wave. I'm loving it. Like taking all this heat. Just continuing to be in the gym, continuing to work on my mental, continuing to do all these different things. And yeah, meanwhile, just trying to balance with corporate America and with everything getting more expensive, just trying to buckle down in various aspects. And hopefully, America is safe and we're not doing any crazy stuff internationally.
I know. Hopefully we're safe. Hopefully things get better. There's a rate cut too. We can also afford homes. A lot of people, before COVID, they bought homes that are like people like you and me. Now it's like buying a condo at like the price they got it. It's like nearly impossible.
Right.
So I hope things work out for you, bro. And thanks so much for coming on, man. Like you're amazing. And, like obviously, like working with you is always great. So anytime, you're always welcome to come on again. And we gotta make some content in real life because you're right here.
Yeah, bro. Absolutely. And I do want to say I hope Mom Donnie wins mayor of New York. I don't live in New York, but I'm so invested in that race. I just hope so.
It's
Rank Mom
addicting.
Donnie. I
It's
think
addicting.
I think the
Yeah, go ahead.
results come out like today or tomorrow or something like that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like if you know who wins or when they win, you let me know. But if they're coming out today, I'll definitely check
Yeah.
because it looks like it's like is it a close race, or you think
Yeah, so
he's
he just topped Cuomo in like 2 or 3 points, and I believe today is like essentially election day. So the way that the New York City voting system works, it's like a rank system. So like after every couple days or a week or so, like one person will get eliminated, right? So now it's just now the votes from the other folks that are taken out of the race are going to Cuomo
yeah
and Mamdani, the
the
main
main
two.
point?
So yeah, based on the ranks, they're gonna see who comes out on top, and I believe by the end of today we should know. Hopefully, positivity and good prevails, and we'll see a new mayor in New York City. So it should be cool. But yeah, otherwise, appreciate you having me on. And
Yeah,
once
of course.
again, thank
Hopefully,
you, everybody.
yeah, no, definitely. I know we were playing this for a minute, so I'm definitely have a debrief now, like about Sorab and like how he is and everything too after this episode, just because it's been a minute since we caught up. But thanks so much for coming on the show, and thanks again, bro. Love to
Yeah,
have you again.
thank you for having me. Looking forward to the next time.
Sounds good.
And I'm gon' slide. Pull up with me for a hell of a ride. You need a couple wins, they ain't doing it right. Hit up my line, we gon' turn up the night. I got a lot of wins on my